Hello, everyone, and welcome to the online meeting with SWPS University. This is our third one of series of webinars during which, with the help of our students and experts, we try to resolve any doubts that you might have regarding studying abroad. Keep in mind that we have still another 4 webinars planned for you, during which we'll cover topics related to the cultural differences, moving to Poland, and stress related to it. Before we start, I must point out that this series is organized in cooperation with National Agency for Academic Exchange. Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Adrianna Zalewska. I'm an admissions officer. However, after working hours, I'm also a student of SWPS University. And I'm here today with a special guest, with Tomasz Lewandowski, PhD, who is a Vice Dean of the Faculty of Psychology and Law at SWPS University in Poznań. Despite his academic achievements, he works as an attorney of law specialized in the field of personal data protection, labor law, and the law of higher education. Hello, Tomasz.
Hello, Adriana. Hello, everyone. I hope that there are many listeners right now. If not, I'm sure that the recording would be of help. So hello, everyone.
As you can see, the topic of our webinar is moving to Poland to pursue university education. It might seem a little mysterious, so let me briefly say what we'll cover today. We'll talk about a few topics, including legalization of stay, visa process, job opportunities, accommodation, and so on. This webinar will be more in form of Q&A, questions and answers, as I have a lot of questions which cover different fields. So I will try to talk as little as possible, so Tomasz has the time to explain everything, the detailed process of, for example, visa process. In the meantime, you can ask questions in the chat box where Dorota, my colleague, is at your disposal. I'm positive that we'll cover most topics here with Tomasz, but feel free to ask her anything. Okay, so enough of me talking. Let's move to the main part of the webinar and start from the very beginning. We often get questions about legalization of stay. What is it? Is it necessary? What are benefits of it? So what are the next steps students need to take when they get admitted to university? Is it worth trying for the residence card? Generally, let's start from the beginning. What is legalization of stay?
Yeah, so you called it that it's a benefit. Unfortunately, that's not entirely true, because this is the condition which must be met in any circumstances, because even though this candidate is accepted or even enrolled at the university, she or he cannot enter the territory of the Republic Poland without, first of all, legalization of entry and later on the legalization of stay. Fortunately, this requirement, even though it sounds harsh, but it's not so difficult to achieve. When being a candidate, first of all, obviously, you think about different location for your studies. All around the world, there are many universities. Poland is not the solid one. However, despite SWPS being the best university, also Poland is still quite good place to study. Why? Because up to now, at least, we are the member of the European Union. So because of that, legalization of stay in Poland may be equal to legalization of stay or at least of travel to different European countries. Also, the legal status of alien is mainly a result of the European Union law, which, as being implemented by Poland, gives different type of aliens several rights and also duties, mainly duties concerned with registration. Because the rule is the same, you cannot legally stay in Poland without legalization of stay, namely you need to register yourself. But first of all, you're still, as a candidate, probably you're staying in your state of origin or in any other state than Poland, and you think about where should I start my studies with, or am I responsible for anything? Because obviously it is, unless you study law, or you're going to study law, it is not obvious that you know everything you should do. So you may think that registering at SWPS is all the necessary activity on your behalf, but this is wrong approach. Even though SWPS is willing to give as much as possible and to help you as much as possible with your legalization of stay. Unfortunately, due to the procedure, we are unable to do it on your behalf or instead of you. So please bear in mind that each question you have about legalization of states should be asked before entering the Republic in Poland, because later on you are not the one asking questions but answering questions of, for example, border guard or any other authorities who are going to investigate your stay in Poland, and in case it's not legal and it's not registered, you might be expelled from the territory of the Republic of Poland, which simply finishes your academic career even before it has started. So it is really important thing, but don't worry, our authorities are really friendly. Maybe not as friendly as WPS authorities, but still, it's not a difficult thing to do. However, in order to get your stay legalized, you need to collect certain documents. Obviously, whenever you apply for anything, you need to fill the application and to attach certain appendixes to this application in order to make your application credible. This goes the same for the legalization of stay. There are like many ways to legalize it. The first good news is that since you are going to become a student, this will be your primary status in Poland. The legalization is much easier than, for example, in case of employees or family members or any different status, because according to Polish and European alien law, there are many categories of aliens entering the territory of the European Union member state. And one of such category is students. And luckily for you, European Union loves students, and it makes everything what is possible to make this legalization as easy as possible. Obviously, the legalization of student is dependent on studying. So the possibility to legalize yourself as student starts with enrollment. So first of all, you need to get acceptance letter from the university, from any university, not only SWPS university. Despite or along with this letter of acceptance, university provides you with a special certificate of acceptance, which is based on a formal template regulated by law. This is a short form in Polish confirming in an official way that university accepted you as a future student. This document is of particular importance because without this document, you cannot even start procedure. So this is like the official document confirming that you are welcome to study at Polish university, and it is issued by the university you are going to study to, or it's addressed to authorities. That's why it is important, because email confirmation or letter of acceptance made on a university template with logo, with colorful pictures, it's not enough. This is something that gives you right to ask to be enrolled, and it gives you, or it creates a link between you and the university. But what you need is the link between you, university, and the authorities. And this link, somehow Polish law decides that it is based on this particular document. So this is really important to get it. Don't worry, you don't need to apply especially for it, because university gives you automatically, because delivering such certificates to you, it's the legal obligation of the university. So you don't need to ask for it, you will receive it. But unless anything happens, for example, you lose it or you do not receive it because for example, someone forgot to put it in the envelope or attach it to the email, these things may happen. Don't worry. Do not hesitate to ask about it. The document is in Polish, but its content is regulated by law, not by as WPS. If you have this document, you need to. That's the end of the story with the university. You need to start talking with the authorities. How does it happen? Obviously, you cannot enter the Republic of Poland and simply go to the Ministry of Education or Office for Foreigners. You need to find a piece of Poland within the state you are located currently. So mainly you need to go to the consulate. You need to appoint a meeting, because you cannot enter the consulate and simply, this is me, I'm going to study in Poland, please welcome me. That doesn't work like that. You need to appoint the meeting. For the meeting, you bring all the documents, especially the one I mentioned before, and you receive a visa from consul, which gives you a right to enter the territory of the Republic of Poland. But this is the entry visa. Yes. Things look differently for the particular group of foreigners, namely the foreigners from different European Union member states. Yeah, because it's much easier for them due to the freedom of transfer of persons. For Polish students, it is as easy to go to study in Italy as for the Italian students coming to Poland. And I'm not talking here about Erasmus program, because this is totally different topic, different regulation, different idea, because the idea is about the exchange, and we are talking right now about conducting the whole process of education within in Poland at Polish university. However, please bear in mind that still, while being enrolled at Polish university, even though you are a foreigner, you have the same status, the same rights, but also obligations, don't forget about it, as Polish students. Yeah, so there is no like any preferential treatment of you or any disadvantaged treatment, because you are a student as anyone else. So there is a possibility, but you need to check it within the university you are enrolled in, to even go and study for a semester abroad, depending on the partnerships the university has. However, while going abroad, for example, deciding to go for Erasmus studies or any other exchange, you need to fill the requirements of the host country, which are there. So simply you need to register yourself for the second time, but not in Poland, but for example in Italy, France, etc. But this is the different story, I just wanted to mention it, that your adventure of studying in Poland is not necessarily limited to study in Poland. Yes, obviously this is the best starting point, but still a starting point for your academic career, for the future career. You can do whatever you want, because the Poland is the land of opportunities.
Exactly, that's true. Well, to sum up, first of all, we talk mainly about Poland, because of course we specialize in Poland, we live in Poland, so we won't talk about other countries, because this process may vary from country to country. So if you want to come to Poland, of course, you have to first be enrolled. In order to be enrolled, you have to fulfill all the steps that the university requires from you. After being accepted, we as the university, as Tomasz said, we are required to issue the letter of acceptance, the very crucial documents in visa process. So you'll definitely receive a hard copy, which we'll send you by mail, and email version if needed. With this document, you have to contact the consulate and ask them about the requirements, because this is also a very important part. The requirements for the visa process may vary from country to country. Some countries may require from you a document that you already have accommodation in Poland, or you have valid health insurance for some period of time. So you should first contact the consulate, ask them about the required documents. They will definitely require the letter of acceptance, as Tomasz said, but they may need some additional documents. So we can help you to some point, but you have to contact the authorities and ask them about the process, because we cannot do this for you. It's necessary that you do it yourself. So I mentioned the health insurance, that it might be necessary. Tomasz, could you say a little more about that?
Different documents which may be necessary. I often think that it's safer to presume that you need to prepare these documents, because there is like the common denominator of documents, and obviously some consulates are much easier to get along with. So the obligatory document is the letter of acceptance, this official certificate. However, sometimes The consulate may require, especially in cases when you pay for studies, so there is a tuition fee that you already paid at least partial tuition fee. Why is it necessary? Because they want to check your commitment. There are like some states which are considered that the students, the candidates from these states, they simply go through the enrollment process to get this letter of acceptance, the certificate, and then to get the visa entry. And after entering the Republic of Poland, they simply disappear. So they do not start their studies. They simply abused the procedure in order to freely enter the territory of the Republic of Poland, and later on they disappear. So the requirement to present, to prove that at least partially the tuition fee was covered, is in order to show that your true purpose is to study and not to disappear somewhere, to do something, to do something else. Also, there is a question of health insurance. There are two ways to do it. The easy way, like both of them are easy, but the most classic way is the private health insurance. So you simply need to contract yourself with any private health insurance company. There are like a lot of competitive companies in the territory of Poland. So simply you have this agreement, you paid for this insurance. Therefore, in case anything happens, you are not a burden to the state, especially. So your insurance provider will cover for you. The second way is to go to enter the agreement with the public health insurance, namely NFZ, National Health Fund, Narodowy Fundusz Zdrowia. Such agreement is based upon paying a monthly fee. So when you are going to enter this agreement, you need to pay at least 1 month fee in order to enter the agreement and to prove to the consulate that the agreement was that you contracted with National Health Fund. Also, the requirement is that this agreement should, both of them, like the private one in the health, should cover at least 6 months. Yes, and obviously later on you need to prolong it, because the conditions you need to fulfill in order to legalize your stay must be met permanently. Yes, so this is not that you are like insurance only for 2 days after entering the Poland, you receive the documents and later on you don't need to pay to be insured. On each day of your state of Poland, your status may be questioned somehow. Yeah, so you need to be ready for that. Obviously, when it happens, when you do something wrong and you have a contact with the police, you need to know that both SWPS University has campuses in cities well recognized for its student life, and it's not so difficult to get in troubles when you party a lot and some bad things happens under the influence of some substances. So if you are a foreigner, you have a contact with law enforcement, obviously your status will be questioned. That's the part of the procedure. So it's better that you fulfill all these requirements. So health insurance should not be treated by you as the requirement only for the procedure. Yeah, you need to be secured when anything happens. Yeah, and things might happen. I'm not talking here only about COVID, but really, I remember cases when I was an intern in Erasmus office at one university in Lithuania. That we had a case of the foreigner who also, Vilnius in Lithuania is also a kind of a student life city, who made a bet to swallow €2 coins. And he swallowed 4 of them, I think. Obviously, after the effects of alcohol disappeared, he had a problem. We were forced to go to the hospital. Luckily, he was insurance, so simply Lithuanian hospital did not charge him individually. Everything was covered. But 2 lessons from that anecdote, from that story: please think about insurance not only as the formal requirement for legalization of stay, but think about it as your safe policy as it is. And the second lesson, do not swallow 2 euros coins, especially while under influence of the alcohol. Coming to the third type of documents, what you will be required. So you are enrolled at the university, you are covered from the health perspective. Now you need to be covered from the social perspective. What does it mean? That simply you can afford living in Poland. And by affording living in Poland, you need to prove that you can live somewhere. Yeah, so you need a flat, and you have an appropriate sum of money. Yeah, it is not a high sum of money that will give you a possibility to buy yourself bread and water, because believe me, these amounts of money were like at so low level that basically they are based on a survival threshold. In order to prove that you can afford living in Poland, you can present, first of all, statements that you can afford. So your statement, your words are also valid here, but you may be asked to, for example, present some kind of documents that you received, for example, a state scholarship, because obviously this is not the topic of this webinar, but there are many different scholarships and ways to fund your studies in Poland. There are like official public scholarship and private scholarship foundations, which may help you to achieve your dream. So when you receive such scholarship, the letter of granting you a scholarship is also a valid document proving that you can afford studying in Poland. I think this is the most prestigious one, because when you received the scholarship, that means that first of all you are committed to your studies. Second of all, you are a well asset to have you here in Poland because you're a good student, and second of all, someone else, the third party, mainly the foundation, somehow guarantees that you can stay in Poland. Also, any kind of bank documents, credit card limits, and other documents are welcome. Please remember, because you may consider studying in Poland and bringing your family all together. If you decide to do so, and if you are not going to study with you, because why not, having your marriage life at the university, yeah? Do not study in one group, because it might be troublesome to have your private life at least, but such things appear. But if you have children, for example, and you would like to come to Poland with children, you need to legalize their stay separately. This is really important, because the legalization of stay is always an individual decision. Yeah, so if you are legalized, it doesn't mean that your children, your spouse are also legalized. You need to legalize them separately. However, it is easier when you are legalized. But all of your family members should be should have health insurance, and the lump sum of required for being able to afford life in Poland also rises. Not spectacularly, because obviously the flat is one, the family members use the flat is one, but this is really important. So first of all, you need to prove that you have somewhere to stay. In Poland, you have enough money to rent a flat, because in case of SWPS University, we do not provide you with a dormitory. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's correct.
At SWPS University. There are different universities in Poland, mainly the private ones, they do not provide dormitories as a rule. The public ones, they provide the dormitory as a rule, so if the public ones. So if you would like to study at public university, I'm not that I'm talking on behalf of SWPS, but since we are supported by National Agency of Student Exchange, I need to give you the full picture, you are able to ask this university for help and for assistance to get a place in dormitory, which is much cheaper. And also the decision from the university confirming that you are registered to the dormitory, you have your particular room or house, Gryffindor, whatsoever, is such document which makes it easier for you to come in Poland. Obviously, you need to pay for the application as well, a small fee, few hundred zlotys. It always changes due to the decisions of the government. Is based on the percentage of the average monthly salary in Poland. But this is, as far as I remember, I'm not good in remembering, around 300 zlotys. And then you can enter and commence studies. The legalization of students is of state. Later on, you're in Poland and you legalize your stay. Please remember that your stay in Poland is legal from the moment you apply, not from the moment you receive a decision, positive or negative. You are legally in Poland when you apply. That's why it's really important to do it as soon as possible, because obviously you receive a visa from the consul, which gives you the right more or less to stay in Poland up to 3 months, but it may differ from the by the decision of consul. But the visa is simply for entering. It may be prolonged, for example, to get the visa for 1 year or whatsoever, but this is not really beneficial for you because you cannot get visa in Poland.
Exactly. That's a very important thing.
Yeah. So when you receive a visa, you always receive a visa outside of Poland from the consul. So if the visa is invalid or it's the finishing line, you cannot get it. You need to return home and get the visa once again. That's why, to legalize your stay as a student, you need to apply for the legalization of stay here in Poland. So the separate procedure. So you pay this 300 zlotys, you present all these documents, and from the moment you apply, you are legally staying in Poland. The first decision, I'm talking about positive because everyone will receive a positive decision. You cannot receive a negative decision if all the documents are prepared well and everything is sent. If something is not attached, the authority will call you to supplement the application. For example, you will receive simply a note. That's why the address is important. You will receive the note that something is lacking and you have 7 days to present these documents. If you do not present them in 7 days, then you will receive the negative decision, and negative decision means that you are deported. So documents are really necessary. However, when the application is done, even with some minor problems, which may be later on supplemented, you are legally in Poland. That is really important, because even though Polish law stipulates that such decision should be issued in a certain time, not more than 2 months, authorities work the same way in every state. So sometimes you need half a year. I'm more familiar with the application of legalizations of stay for employees, where the rule is the same, that once applied, you can stay legally in the territory of Poland. I have clients waiting already 2 years for this decision, but while waiting, they are still legally in Poland. So this is important. So first decision is for up to 15 months. Why 15 months? Because academic year lasts for at least 10 months, and you need to have like 5 months to, for example, retake exams you did not pass. Yeah, because as a rule at every university, also there are like some differences. You have two takes for exam, the first term and then to retake it. If you fail, you fail the academic year. Obviously you may apply that even while failing, but only one exam, you can go further. So you have 15 months to maybe not graduate, but to get enrolled for the second course of your studies. That's why these 5 additional months. If you do so, you apply for the prolongment of the legalization of stay as a student. That's why the legalization, your legal stay in Poland, is dependent on your results. If your results are poor and you do not attend your classes, you do not pass exams, sorry, your legalization of stay will not be prolonged. Also, remember that if you fail at university, the university has a legal obligation to inform the authorities that you are a failure. And you cannot that you not appear on classes, that you do not pass your exams, that you are expelled from the university. Therefore, the link between your student status at the university and between your student status as an alien is going to disappear, is damaged. Therefore, you are not protected anymore.
Exactly. So once again, to sum up, visa process is done in your country via consulate. You cannot do this here in Poland. If you have to extend visa, you also have to get back to your country and do this process once again. If you want to legalize when you have to legalize the stay here in Poland, you do this here. When coming to Poland. You've mentioned a few documents, including the health insurance, and I want to get back to it. You said that our students can either sign contract between private companies or with Polish National Health Fund. So my question is, if I swallow a €2 coin and I need to be hospitalized and I go to a hospital, how the treatments look like? Do you have to pay additional money if I already signed the agreement with the National Health Fund, or is it free? How it looks like?
If you have the agreement with the National Health Fund, you do not pay anything from the beginning, because that's the reasonable question, because some insurance companies work that way, that simply you pay yourself for the full service and then you are reimbursed, which simply makes it pointless, because you need help right now and you don't have any money, and sorry, and maybe you will get reimbursed or not, depending on the insurance company goodwill. So it doesn't work like that. You can use the all the facilities because the system, the health system in Poland is public based, so you may use it. Also, if you are citizen of the EU member state, you can get Europejska Karta Ubezpieczenia Zdrowotnego. It sounds really harsh in Poland, but the European Health Insurance Card, so-called EKUZ in Polish. So this is the plastic card. Simply you get this card at your health insurance in your state of origin. This is the card confirming that you are insured in your home state within the European Union, and based on this insurance and also all this freedom of movement, you are also covered in Poland or in any other member states. What does it mean? That you simply go to Polish hospital while being Italian, and then the money are being transferred between Italian health fund and Polish health fund, and this is not your problem. So this is the plastic card, which is really important, because when someone finds you unconscious because of these €2 coins bumping in your stomach, then they see the card. Oh, there is an insurance, so this is a VIP person, we can treat him properly. Yeah, but please be aware that the health system in Poland, despite the fact that Polish citizens complain about it all the time. So if you are a Polish citizen, you simply, by blood, you complain about your health system. So this is a normal thing. Like, it is really hard to find anyone being satisfied with health system at all, especially Poles. But don't worry, it doesn't mean that the health system works, that you will get operated in the park or without anesthesia or anything like that. It works quite fine, but you need to know how to do it. This is a kind of adventure, entering a hospital, registering in hospital. That's why don't worry to ask for help at the university, because obviously if you are found unconscious, then the help will be done automatically without you even noticing. But if you are sick, if you have a health problem, if you break your finger, if you have a fever or something, do not hesitate to ask for help. You may ask for help from the university, from your peers, because they know better. They know which hospital is better to take. Where do they speak English? Where do you know where the help is done much faster, much better than in any other place. Like I remember going to hospital with different with different foreign students, and I couldn't imagine them going there on their own. That would be really troublesome. So do not hesitate to ask, but first of all, you need to be insured.
Exactly. Hopefully you won't have to use it, but just in case you have to buy the health insurance, and this is very necessary. So let's get to the accommodation topic. You've mentioned also that during visa process, the consulate might ask our students, future students, about the accommodation. So let's talk about what is the housing market like, and what our students need to do to rent an apartment. What documents are required?
From my perspective, just to cover it, the consulate not very often asks about accommodation, but this is obligatory question and obligatory document to fill when you apply for legalization of stay already in Poland, because like obviously you are still in your state, so you don't think about the accommodation. The consulate gives you a visa for a particular time, for example 3 months. You enter Poland and you enter the market, you find the accommodation for yourself, because for the first day obviously you will live in hostel or somewhere, unless you have someone in Poland who may help you with finding the accommodation, for example family members. That's enough. So coming to the market, there are like many different ways to find the accommodation of Poland. Obviously it is much easier, but it doesn't mean that it's easy to find the accommodation in big cities such as Warsaw, Poznań, Wrocław. I'm sorry, but just something is popping out here. What you can do? First of all, family member. Family is always the best. So it's if you have such opportunity that your late auntie lives in Poland, whom you've never seen in your life, do not hesitate to ask her to become the best buddies in Poland, because at least for a certain step, because you do not pay for such accommodation, or at least you simply give her some money for electricity, water, or whatsoever. But it also looks good for the application of legalization of stay. Like probably you are familiar with the requirement to get the visa to the United States, that you need to present such the so-called invitation family. If you are visiting, there is an invitation, the family has the accommodation, and you are going to stay with them. Therefore, it is presumed that you can afford staying in the US. In Poland, this is not the requirement, but this is the easy way. Unfortunately, not everyone is lucky enough to have a Polish family member, or maybe not Polish, but located in Poland. So what you can do as a student, you can, if you are going to study at public university, you can ask for dormitory. I was already explaining that. If you are studying at private university, and also at public, you may go and ask for private dormitories, because such dormitories operate in Poland, that for a certain fee they give you a room. For example, at Poznań here, if you would like to study in Poznań, there is a private dormitory. It's located, I don't know, 100 meters from SWPS University. Luckily, this is Hotel Polonez. Before, during a Soviet period, and in the 90s, it was like one of the most popular hotels in Poznań. Later on, it got bankrupted, and some investors bought the building, renovated it, and right now it's a private dormitory for different students. So whenever I cross the street, because each day at least 4 times I cross the street where the hotel is located, there are only foreigners there, and they're from all around the world. So that's the way in each big city such dormitories exist. What else? private
apartments, flats.
Private apartments. So you can simply rent a flat. You can either rent a full flat or you can rent a room in the flat. And the second option is particularly popular among students. That you simply find co-students, you rent a flat all together, you combine a small amount of money in order to pay a rent. However, what are the risks of such option? It's not really easy to find a good deal. It's not really easy to find a good deal because the market is somehow closed right now. It might be also kind of difficult because probably you know that during lockdown, where the universities went full online, the renting market for student apartments died. Yeah, it was simply cancelled. No one was renting flats, and a lot of landlords, or you may say even owners of the flat, they simply sold the flat because it wasn't bringing any money, so they decided simply to sell it, to resign from being a landlord. Right now, we are coming back slowly to the times before the pandemic, but still the landowners would like to regenerate from that period, so the rent is artificially higher. I'm not an expert in prices because I never rented a flat in my life, and but from I know, I only know the Poznań market. You need to count additional money for Wrocław and a lot of additional money for Warsaw market. But in Poznań you can rent a room, only a room, for around 600 to 1,000 zlotys plus bills. So you need to calculate electricity, internet, and whatsoever. So 600 zlotys. Like I'm talking about the center. For the full flat, around, I don't know, like 40 meters, you need to be prepared to give 2,000 and more zloty. So around like 500 euros per flat, and it's a really good deal. Despite of the rent, you need to pay these additional bills, which covers you electricity, water, warm water, internet. Sometimes the rent for the local community, because the rent for the owner is one thing, but also there is a rent in order to, for example, get your staircase clean, to do your rubbish removed, for the security, for I don't know what else. Yeah, simply for renovating the building, etc., etc. So that might be additional cost. That's why this amount for accommodation, this calculated, this lump sum required by the authority, required for you to prove that you are able to fill this accommodation requirement, is around 1,500 zlotys. Because altogether this is like the minimum sum to get somewhere to sleep, to pay for water, for electricity, not for the internet, because you can live without internet. So this is not like the basic sum. Such agreements, such rent agreements, particularly, they are signed for the period of 1 year, 12 months, because it depends whether you continue to study or not to study. So each time you rent a flat, you need to have such agreement, because such agreement may be necessary to be presented to the authorities as well, because this is a proof of the this is the proof of the fact that you are being accommodated in Poland. There are many agencies which may help you to rent a flat, but please be prepared that such agencies, they also have a agency fee. That's why such rent might be higher than the market average if you take it directly from the market. Always before renting an apartment, go and see that apartment. Yes, I do not
Definitely.
need to mention that it may happen that you think that you rented a 3-room suite, yes, and it happens to be like one room with a toilet next to TV and shower in the kitchen, yes. So it may happen because the landowners, they due to the photography and Photoshop in all these internet auctions, they make their apartments look like a 7 wonders of the world, but it is not necessarily like that. So what landowners like, they like quiet students without any addictions. You cannot organize parties in your flat because even though the flat has neighbors, and later on these neighbors call the landowner that the students are noisy and they should be removed from the flat, or they don't care about landowner and they immediately call for whom? For the police, because in Poland you have the legislation of the night silence, cisza nocna. So after 10 p.m. you need to calm down in your flat in order to get anyone to see. It doesn't mean that you need to turn off the light, that there is like the police hour, the state of emergency or something like that. This is a simply discipline that you need to respect your neighbors. And believe me, in big cities where the life is anonymous and you do not know your neighbors, they don't give a, I don't want to say more about your social life. If you are too noisy after 10 p.m., this is like 10 and 1 p.m., they call the police, because maybe this is not a criminal offense, but this is this minor criminal offense that you can get fee up to 500 zlotys. That's one thing. That's not a problem. In particular, students, they invite policemen to the party and they make, please, they make the collection of money. They give 500 zlotys. That's all. Yeah, this is like that. But you are an alien. If you are an alien, the police will say, okay, since we are here, please check us your legalization of stay and all your documents. And believe me, when you are partying and you are under influence of the alcohol, it is not a good idea to talk about your legalization of stay with the police. That's the way it works. So if you rent a flat, it doesn't mean that you own it. You need to behave. Because even though the landowner may not care about it, because very often he or she is located in different part of Poland, and simply owns a flat in Warsaw, Wrocław, or Poznań, your neighbors will be really interested in your social life. Namely, they will be interested in you not having any social life after 10 p.m. up to 6 in the morning. This is the bracket. Yeah.
Sure. So we definitely recommend to respect your neighbors. I think that we have to move on to the next question because we have a lot of questions from chat. So I think that you said a lot about the accommodation. So keep in mind to respect your neighbors. I have a question from chat to you, Tomasz. Mm-hmm. The comment is, the talk is interesting, Dr. Tomasz Lewandowski. Do you also work as work visa consultant? Can one contact you after this webinar for work for visa consultation? So do you help international students to get visa, or just can someone contact you and consult you regarding their residence of stay or the visa process?
I'm always ready to help, but as an attorney at law, I have the obligation to help, even though that's the mission. It's not only a job, but it depends. It depends on the question. If you are interested in the case of legalization of state and visa, to become a student of SWPS University, probably you should contact with SWPS University office, because they are the best address to tell you what to do. Obviously, they're
Exactly.
not going to get visa instead of you, but they will tell you they have already prepared checklist of documents and all the materials which are really friendly and really easy to go through in order to prepare for the meeting with consul and later on for the legalization of stay. However, if you have any other ideas, for example, you are not interested in studies right now, but you would like to come to Poland to work, and later on, for example, to conduct studies, this is also possible, but you need to legalize your stay as the employee, and in such cases, you may contact with me. I can provide you few, depending on the city you are going, you are deciding to move or to start working. I can provide you with addresses to employment agencies which cover such issues, because this is their everyday job, and obviously their fee is much lower than the fee of the attorney of law, because you do not need to take a professional lawyer in order to legalize your stay, because this is not a rocket science. Maybe it sounds so because there are a lot of documents you need to prepare, but this is a simple checklist you need to cover. This is not a rocket science. So there are a lot of agencies which simply live on persons who want to legalize their stay as the employee, who would like to bring their family members to Poland, who would like to start studies, and believe me, these fees, they are not so high. I know really well the Wrocław market of such agencies, because due to the thing that I'm working in Poznań, sometimes I use their services for clients in Wrocław. Such agencies, the legalization, for example, of stay for employee costs around like 1,000 zlotys, 200, 300 euros. But they are going with you through all the process, so all-inclusive treatment.
Yes, so exactly. First, contact with us, with the admissions office, and if you have some questions that we won't be able to answer, we'll definitely direct you to certain people. There's also a follow-up to this question. Is the spouse of international students allowed to work full-time or part-time here in Poland? And that goes to the question about job opportunities in Poland. So the first question is the spouse of international student allowed to work full-time or part-time in Poland?
So I will maybe reverse this to combine these questions and talk about the job opportunities. I will start with student himself. If you are legalized as a student, then you can work in Poland. You can work as long as you have this legalization of stay annotation, student legalization of stay. This is also beneficiary. Obviously, students are wanted on Polish employment market because they are cheaper than normal students. Obviously, they can work more and they like to work, and obviously it's easy for them to get to work in big city, for example, in cafeteria, restaurant, bar, pub, whatsoever. So if you have legalization of stay and you would like to work at the bar, it's not a problem, because in big cities they want to have bartenders speaking in foreign languages because of the tourists and whatsoever, and the tourism is also coming back after COVID. It's really easy to get such job, but you need to have this legalization of stay as a student. What else? After you graduate your studies, it doesn't mean that you are immediately kicked out from Poland. You have a so-called warming up period. You are the graduate, and the graduate can stay half a year after the graduation in order to seek for a job. This is like the prolonged period. So you are graduating, you are seeking for a job in Poland. If you receive a job, you legalize your stay as the employee. That's the different procedure. But it's much easier after graduation, because you are already considered checked somehow. In order to get the employee legalization of state, you need to find the employee, because the employee replaces the university, because the idea is the same. The university gives you the letter of acceptance, the formal document, and also employee gives you the letter of acceptance. It doesn't mean that it gives you a job, that you have the labor contract. It simply means that he is ready to hire you if you are legalized, because he cannot hire you, he cannot sign a job, the job employment contract if you are unregistered, not legally. But in order to legalize yourself, you need to fill the application with the name of your employee, and before of that, employee has also certain obligations. For example, they need to prove that there is no one at Polish market who could fill in the position, and that he or she really needs a foreigner to work for. But this is a formality. It looks like that. If you are foreigner from certain states, for example, Belarus, Ukraine, Armenia, what else like that, Kazakhstan, then it's much easier to get a job. There is a special simple procedure that doesn't require your future employee to do so many things. But from the practical perspective, mainly due to the fact that Polish employment market is the market of the employee and not employer, employers, they do everything for you in order to legalize your stay, because they need the employee. So it's also very easy. But to sum up the situation, your status as a student gives you the right to work, but after you finish, you graduate, you do not have this status of student. You need to legalize as the employee, so you need to find a job. You always need to have a factual ground to stay in Poland, some link, studies, university, job. Yes. Coming back to the question, probably remember that I said that all these decisions are individual. So if you have a student legalization of stay, it doesn't mean that your spouse can work, because they do not benefit from your status. The only thing they benefit from is that you are legally in Poland. Therefore, it's much easier to legalize their stay. It's much easier to legalize children than a spouse. There are many instances where, for example, the husband or wife are legally legalized in Poland and working, but the authority refuse to legalize the spouse because they think that, obviously, this is the decision of authority. But for example, that the spouse is not going to work, they will not be able to accommodate themselves in Poland. With children, it's a different story. This is a biology. Everyone loves children. The children are dependent on parents. So the decision is based on different grounds. However, if you need to legalize your spouse, and your spouse can be legalized in two ways. As your it's a wrong thing to say, but as your accessory. So first of all, based on your status, so you have the status of employee, you work, and you bring your family, and your family doesn't work, but they are legalized as your members of the family. So your legalization is dependent on your legalization. So if you lose the legalization ground, they also lose the legalization ground. And there is a lot of documentation you need to present, the certificates, etc., that you are a family, that they are dependent on you, etc., etc. Flight, you need to buy the flight tickets. A lot of documents on the way. That's why the second option, which I'm going to tell about, is better. Simply, your spouse should register herself, despite of you being a student. Your spouse, your husband, your wife is coming to Poland, or even before coming to Poland, finds a job in Poland, and legalize his stay in Poland, despite of you being student. So, for example, you are going to study, I'm going to work. Yes, we have separate statuses. They are not dependent. So if your status as a student is invalid, that doesn't influence the status of your spouse, etc. Yeah. So vice versa. Sorry, vice versa. So it's better to legalize. And to sum up and answer directly the question, no, your spouse cannot work based on your status of students. the spouse, he or she, they need to receive their individual legalization of stay, and not even legalization, but work permit. First of all, work permit, because work permit and legalization of stay, they are like two sides of the same coin. So work permit is really necessary. Every decision for alien is an individual decision.
Exactly. So it's not as easy as it may sound. Well, you should definitely, first of all, have all necessary documents, check the procedures, and don't just go to the authority just like that. Be prepared and check the requirements. Well, the time is up. I think that Tomasz, you've talked very in detail about answered in detail all of my questions. I would like to thank you so much for participating in this online meeting with me and my guest, with Tomasz Lewandowski. I would like to once again point out that our series of webinars is still ongoing. So I strongly encourage you to sign up for the next one. Next month, we'll talk about a short guide of studying in Poland, the practical aspects of daily life. So hopefully see you soon. And thank you once again, Tomasz.
Is there going to be any webinar on nightlife in Poland or sightseeing points? 10 things to see in Poland or something like that?
Well, our first webinar was mostly about that, not only about the nightlife, but the good qualities about Poland, why you should choose Poland geographically speaking and historically speaking. So we already did a webinar on that. But if you'd like to conduct such webinar, we can do so.
Yeah, because I was also, while working in Lithuania, all students studying there and coming to Poland, all of them were going only to see Museum Auschwitz-Birkenau, so the former Nazi concentration camp located on the territory of Poland. And I was so sad because we have so much better things to offer. Yes, so do not think about Poland only as a place of as the country of set places. We have like really, really brilliant things to do here.
That's true. Then I strongly encourage you to see the first webinar where Professor Marcin Jacobi tells all about it, all the good qualities of Poland and what you should see here in our country. So yeah, once again, thank you so much, Tomasz, for participating in this webinar. And once again, thank you and goodbye.
Yeah, thank you.